Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Remember, you have greatness inside of you. Welcome back to another HABS Daily News with your hockey coach guru, Coach Frenchy. Today, episode number 1, 4, and 4. What do you have on the menu, Coach, today? OMG, a lot. First of all, preview game between Ottawa Senator and the Montreal Canadiens. We are very close of the big decision from the staff management of the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, we'll talk about the waiver list player around the NHL. Coach Frenchy Corner, and finally, a resume of the interview or can use about the Montreal Canadiens in the next couple of years. So don't go nowhere, and let's dive in for the first subject of the day. Here we go, guys. The first subject of the day. The Montreal Canadiens play tonight at 6:30 Eastern Time. At 6:30, they are in New Brunswick. And then I want to mention to you, if I get the roster of both teams before the end of this video, I'm going to put in here. You can see who is on the roster for Montreal Canadiens because, look, this is the last game for the Montreal Canadiens. After 7 games, they are 0-6-1. This is the final before the season starts, October 12th against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And this is one more evaluation for Martin St. Louis. The problem, Montreal have a lot of injuries, and I'm not sure if Devorak and Hoffman are going to be a part of the game tonight. Whatsoever it is, Montreal Canadiens have a big decision coming very soon. And honestly, this is a big test for the rookies. Most for the defenseman, Pasavkovsky have to show exactly what he looked like if he can play in NHL. Secondly, we know Caden Coley is already in. But what happening with Jordan Harris? What happening with Justin Barron? What happening with Albert Jack-I? They are the three. Then it's not over because players like Leskinen, Shoneman are 2 other players and possibly Madison Bowie because he's a right defenseman. Really important game, and I'm not sure who between the name I just mentioned to you are going to be a part of the game tonight. We'll see, of course, the goaltending is going to be Jake Allen between the pipe, definitely, because he's from New Brunswick. I will not see him not play tonight. Secondly, this is the last game, so we like to have the goaltender number 1 usually play the last game of the exhibition game before the beginning of the season. Let's move on now, guys, for the next subject of the day. And the next subject, guys, of the day is the 3 amigos. Because the big decision is coming very soon. Because Monday, 5 o'clock Eastern Time, is the final decision for the Montreal Canadiens to give their roster for upcoming season 2022-2023. This is really important. They have to be under the salary cap because they have a lot possibility of a few players on the long-term injury reserve. And we know this, what the rules about long-term injury reserve is. You have to be for a minimum of 10 games or a minimum of 24 days. So if ever like Joel Edmondson, Paul Byron, Carey Price, possibly now we talk about Joel Armia, all those 4 players there, we talk about an approximately of $20 million on the salary cap. If you are over that way, you want to have your team be really close of the maximum salary cap is 82.5. You don't want to have any gap on any losing money for your salary cap over on the long term to be allowed to the normally maximize the salary cap. So it's a little bit difficult to explain to you right now, but I just want to show to you. The second thing I want to talk about is the problem they have is the injuries. Like I just mentioned to you, all the players they are right now does not play with day-to-day. Suzuki, Devorak, Hoffman. Madison, we don't know what's going on with him. We have already Edmondson with no clue how long he'll be out. Joel Armia is now possibly week to week. And then finally, Paul Byron did not come to be around the team so far. So this is going to be really interesting to follow up for me because all the situation, we now at the period of the evaluation final test. I believe the Montreal Canadiens are going to looking for add a defenseman, lefty or righty, preferably right defenseman. Don't have to be a top 4. But someone can get minutes as a TOI. Possibly a veterans have a couple of years in NHL. That would not be surprised if they do this. Finally, they're not very happy about Montembeault. And I'm pretty sure Primo is going to Laval. So possibly they will look around if they can get a backup goaltender around the league with a little bit of veterans. So that's conclude, guys, another subject of the day. Let's move on to the next one. So the next subject of the day, guys, read or listening an interview of Ken Hughes, and I want to share it with you the resume of the interview. It was a long interview, by the way. Ken Hughes is really talk about the fact like he choose the development instinct of thinking and the strategy is time life. So what are you talking about? What you want to talk about is Ken Hughes. He has a window of 4 years before they become really competitive again in NHL. Some of you thought about possibly 2 years, but he believe the way he gave the contract to Kirby, that a 4 years contract, he believe as the management right now, Montreal should be competitive again around that time. Again, they are not thinking they want to develop. Their time frame is more about a 4-year period to come back as a solid team in NHL. Second thing I want to talk about, it's a day-to-day development. That's what he's looking for, my Montreal Canadiens. For him, it's not like, he's not worried about what the roster is going to look like Monday. They really worry about is a day-to-day process. It's one day at a time. This year, purpose of their goal is about development. That's really what they're looking for. For them, it's about how they figure out their success at the end of the year. Is be sure they progress from game number 1 all the way to the game 82 for the individual players about the development and as a team collectively all together. This is where is really focusing for the upcoming year. At the end, I want to bring to you back at the beginning, the purpose is all about the development. When you develop something, it's about the process, one day at a time, one game at a time. It's exactly what I really believe this should be that way when you want to make a team better at the end. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, is invest time and resource and maximizing what they already have. What are you talking about? The fact they want to go one day at a time, all about to get the investment one day with everybody. So the development, their staff, their analytics, how they can produce every day to make everybody better every single day during the season. And that's what they try to do. When I'm talking about their staff, I'm talking about the Adam Nicolas, the Scott Pellerin, the Rob Ramage, the Francis Bouillon, and I can go all the way with Jean-François Hull, staff at Laval Rocket. Honestly, this is what they want to apply from the beginning of the season until the end of the season and reevaluate during the season where they at with each player they have. And that's the way to develop an organization. And let's move on now, guys, for the next subject of the day. We start to do something called the Cold FRENCHY Corners. Not every day, but many times I'm going to bring you some video. And today I want to show to you a 3 versus 2 from the Anaheim Ducks, how we want to teach the players. When you pass the puck, you're going to be a 3 versus 2. Try to make some kind of interference on the opponent defenseman without to get a penalty. So let's show to you guys what I'm talking about. This is a rush versus 2, 1 pass bidding, 3 forward in the defensive zone. You're going to see the pass on the board. They're coming now the blue line, drop the puck back. Look, number 20 and 49. They're rushing on the opponent defenseman. A little bit slowly, the puck comes to the red line. Entering zone, drop the puck behind. Look, the players under the stick, number 7, and the number 49, Zegras, is go under, spans in front of the net. Slowly again, one more time. 40 over the stick defenseman, and Zegras coming over there and go around the defenseman of the Los Angeles King, and that's what happening. Again, this guys is a way where you want to teaching the young players at any level. You want to be sure they learn to create some interference without to get penalty. You don't go on the opponent player defenseman, you go under the stick. They change the way they can cover the opponent players, and that's what you need to talk about, the details of the game. That's what's happening on this video. So hopefully you enjoy it, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about the Cold FRENCHY Corner. I want to hear. If you love it, I will continue to produce more video for you to understand a little bit more, the better, how the game is played on Fenways. Let's move on now, guys, for the next subject of the day. The next one, guys, we have a couple of NHL news around the league today. Let's start talking about the first one. Is the Calgary signed the defenseman Mackenzie Weegar. an extension of contract for 8 years, approximately at $6.25 million AAV and over $51 million. Great deal again for the Calgary Flame with WAIVER. Remember, Huberdeau and WAIVER are signed with the team for 8 years each player. It was the trade versus Florida Panthers for Matthew Tkachuk. Look like both players want to stay and play for the Flame versus Tkachuk and Gaudreau want to get out of the city over there. So really interesting. Great performance for the GM for the Calgary Flame. The next move I want to talk about happening is a trade between the Vancouver Canucks and the Chicago Blackhawks. And I want to talk about this because sometimes I just talk about Ken Hughes does not want to give anything. He believes you cannot make a trade just to give you asset. You need to get something in return. And the salary cap, we have 13 teams right now over the salary cap before Monday. They have to make some move. This is a move right now from the Vancouver Canucks to go under the salary cap, and they have to pay the price. What are you talking about? But they trade the veteran Jason Dickinson, but they have to follow with a second-round pick 2024. In return, they got a defenseman, Riley Stillman. We know Stillman was from the Florida Panthers during the trade they did with the Chicago Blackhawks a couple of years ago. And now they send him to the Vancouver Canucks. Canucks pay a lot to get Stillman, but the only way they can to be under the salary cap, they have to do that kind of trade. Again, more trade could happening until Monday to be sure other teams have to be under the salary cap. Finally, the next news I want to talk about around the NHL, it's about the waiver list. We try to bring this every single day because we know Montreal have the first selection of the waiver list, and the next couple of days, more teams are going to put players. Can Montreal try to find a defenseman, a goaltender? Would be interesting. Yesterday, all the players was on the waiver list are all clear. Nobody picked any one of them. Secondly, today, the Carolina Hurricanes put their four-liner, Jordan Martinook, on the waiver. Anton Khudobin for the Dallas Stars. Matthias Janmark, Edmonton. Dimitri Samorukov for Edmonton. Andreas Johnson, New Jersey. Martin Falk for the St. Louis Blues. Clem Costin for the Blues. Justin Darling for the Vancouver. And Jonathan Kovacevic for the Winnipeg Jets, all right now on the waiver. We'll see if any team in NHL are going to claim them in the next 24 hours. And this way, my friend, this concludes another episode of the Montreal Canadiens. Before we leave, we promise you, if ever I got the roster for both teams for the game tonight, I will bring to you inside this video a little bit later. But I just heard the Ottawa Senators, I got the lineup for them. And wow, this is shocking, guys. Listen, Joseph Pinto Patterson, then Otachuk, Brazar, and Look. We have Kelly, Kastelik, Watson, Lucchini, Gabriel Sabourin, defenseman Sanderson, Pranstrom, Holden, Zezev, Lawson, GBD, I think is Dakar. Finally, the goaltender is going to be Elberg and Bibo. And that's, guys, conclude the episode number 144. And before we leave, we want to invite you, don't forget to click on the like, subscribe to the Hockey Nation Live Show. The most important thing, sharing your point of view about my episode. I respond for each of your comments. This is something I need to do all the time. This is really important for me when I create this channel. You are the one to make a difference, and sharing this video and sharing this channel to everybody else. We will have to increasing the number of the subscribers. And remember, we create contents every day, and we have video, live streaming, description, play-by-play. We have a lot of guests coming for year number 3. So I just want to sharing where we at as a channel. And of course, remember, you have greatness inside of you. Have an amazing, blessing day, everybody.